you don't have to know how to do it. You just have to know you can. This is a very powerful statement, and I'm reading it off Vitanna Costantino's Instagram account. Vitanna is a mindset coach with the Bob Proctor Institute, and today we'll be talking about mindset and health, because you can have all the good intentions in the world about being healthy, but if your mindset is not in the right dimension, it's a bit more difficult to achieve your goals. So I will start by asking Vitanna to give us an introduction about yourself, what you do, and where you're coming from.
Awesome. Thank you, Antonella, for having me. It's been so wonderful so far, like meeting you and having these opportunities. So thank you. So my name is Vitanna. I come from originally from Italy, but I have been living in Australia for 9 years, actually. I just reached 9 years in January.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been quite a while, but it
Where
was
about in
beautiful.
Australia? Where about?
In
In
Sydney.
Sydney.
So yeah, and it was beautiful because I learned, of course, so much. And if you have been experienced something overseas, you know what that means. You know, you're stretching yourself and everything. So it was an amazing journey, amazing experience. And so yeah, life took me a bit of everywhere. So my background, pretty much, I started studying psychology back at high school, and I got very passionate and fascinated about the connection between the mind, the behavior, and the results that we're getting. But then universe, I choose something else. I choose economy, actually.
Okay,
I
so it's a
guess I didn't
very
like it.
okay.
Yeah,
It's a
different,
totally
I know.
different spectrum, right?
I
And
know,
what took you
because
back to focusing more on the mind then? What led you to go into
well, I don't believe in
mindset?
coincidence. I don't believe
Okay.
in random stuff. So I think I was meant to get back into my mission, let's say that, my journey, because I came to Australia, and then after a few years, I went back into personal development. And, you know, I always loved these kind of things anyway. I always read books, even if I wasn't
Right.
studying that
So it
at
was your
university.
natural
Yeah.
course to go into
Yeah,
it. All
it was
right.
such a
All right.
huge passion that, yeah, I never left it. So yeah, just going back to personal development, and you start meeting more people. So I just got involved so much with this that I understood so clearly that this was my call. Absolutely.
All
So
right. Now, what about mindset? How can you describe it?
sure. So I always like to divide this word, because it's not just mindset, it's mind set.
Mhm.
So that means that we have our mind set on a certain level. So this influence so much the results that we're getting, because if our mind is set on that frequency, is set in that place, we have that program, these are the results that we're getting. So
Exactly. It's about believing and achieving, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. So in the moment you want to really get different results, you have to change the setting of your mind. So a different way of thinking, different way of behaving, and that's going to take different results.
Now, what is, in your opinion, the biggest stumbling block when people decide that they want to bring about change, like, for example, losing weight or quitting smoking, for example? What is their biggest obstacle? Why don't they manage to achieve success, like
Sure. Well,
rather
there are,
than others who manage?
yeah. So sometime, most of the time, actually, we looking at that thing like something to suffer. For example, smoking. People kind of became addicted, so they love the feeling of
Hmm.
smoking.
Hmm.
They are giving away this power to feel more relaxed and everything. So for them, in their mind, it's something they having pleasure. So
Hmm.
their mindset is connected to something amazing,
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
smoking factor. So in the moment that someone has to really shift that and really want to quit, quitting means renounce that.
Hmm.
Somebody's taking that away from me. So I'm going to suffer because I won't have that pleasure anymore. So they're focusing on the loss
Yeah, yeah.
instead
Rather
of
than the
focusing
gain. Hmm.
on how good. how good their life
Yes.
will be,
In
how
fact,
better health it will be.
I often encounter this because, especially in our culture, you're Mediterranean, so you know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Food is a reward from when we're babies. So getting out of that mindset that it can be a poison as well is very difficult, and we do. Well, a lot of people tell me because I will be deprived, I won't be able to eat anything, which is not the reality, but in their mind, they feel that they're going to lose a lot rather than gain. Not everyone, but it's very common. Now, how about stress? How does stress relate to mindset and to changing the way we approach life, and
Mhm.
how can we address stress?
Of course. So stress it's a symptoms, and stress is just an emotions that we have as a consequence of what we're thinking. So even there, it's all about focus. People are stressed at the physical level. So when you're stressed, you may have headaches, you may
Hmm.
have a stomach ache, and what
Exactly.
does it mean? So this is what happens nowadays. So we keep focusing and try to find a solution to the symptoms.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Rather
how
than
can
the
we
source. Hmm.
exactly? So
Hmm.
how can we solve the stress? How can we do that? Well, actually, what is the stress? So first of all, any disease that somebody has really need to understand what it is, why you're stressed. And
Hmm.
most of the time, because everything is connected, they will realize that they are stressed because they are thinking about something that makes them stressed. So most of the time they are stressing about the fact they don't know how the future is going to be. It's
Hmm.
not having
Hmm.
the control. They are panicking, they are worrying, they are doubting, they have fears. So when you are thinking constantly on fears, doubts, and things that may happen one day, you are stressing yourself now today.
Yes,
So the
yes,
best
about
way
things
is
that
really,
might not
yeah.
actually happen, right? We get caught in this vicious cycle. You were saying.
Yeah, it's like a spiral. So if
Mm-hmm,
somebody
mm-hmm,
doesn't, and it's very easy to get stuck in. So it's really what I suggest people, it's really become aware of how you're feeling and what you were thinking before feeling this way.
mm-hmm. What triggered that emotion in
Yeah,
you? Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Now,
exactly.
when we were talking last time, you mentioned routine and the importance of having a healthy routine established, and maybe you can give us some tips as well about yourself and how you got into having a routine that is conducive to a more positive mindset as well.
Hmm. So, yeah, I have a morning routine and a night routine as well.
Okay.
So we are programmed to be habituals, to do
Mm-hmm.
things in a certain way. So we
That's
all
true.
have routines, even if we don't realize. So the things to ask ourselves is my routine actually helping me to achieve what I want? It's my routine serving me? Because if not, we can change the routine,
Mm-hmm.
of course. So in the morning, for example, I don't watch my phone when I wake up. The first thing I
All
do,
right.
yeah,
It is
I wake
addictive actually. So yes, that's very good. So what
I
do?
wake
You
up,
wake up? Mm-hmm.
I have a big glass of water, and
Okay.
then if I can't go outside because maybe I'm in lockdown or maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's raining, so I'm not going out, at least I'm going to watch out of the windows. I get some natural light. And I
Okay.
just
Okay.
stare at the sky. I just look at the sky. I look at the nature around anything I have because it just gives me that moment. And then
All
I
right.
start writing my gratitude. So I write 10
Okay.
things that I'm grateful for and do meditation as well.
All
So
right.
this
And
is my
how long
routine.
would it usually take to establish your morning routine?
Half an hour, maybe.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
So it's very achievable. Sometimes we grab our phone and we
Yeah.
just, scroll through Facebook, and before we know it, 45 minutes have passed, right? So it's not a lot of time. And how about
Yeah,
your
exactly.
evening routine? And how does that change when before you go to bed, I imagine, right?
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So the most important things to understand about before going to bed is that, the subconscious mind never stops thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Even when
always
we're
working.
asleep, right?
Yeah. So before you fall asleep, make sure that you fell asleep with having an image. That's what I do. I do visualizations
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
my goal, of what I want to achieve.
All right.
So I fell asleep with that kind of movie. Okay. It's like running a movie in our head
Mm-hmm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
love to be already there where you're trying to go. Always take it, bringing the future back in the present because we only have the present. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
best way to really familiarize and using the imagination to tap into the dimension that we are creating.
And you had mentioned when we spoke last time about the mental image that you have of yourself. Would this be a good time to project an image of yourself of where you would like to arrive? For example, if you are overweight or you need to be healthier or need to do more exercise, would you incorporate that in this night routine?
Yeah, of course,
If you can give us
absolutely.
some more detail about the mental image as well and how you can project how you
Yeah.
see yourself.
Absolutely. So, for example, imagine myself that I'm looking at the mirror and I feel good with myself, not because I lost some weight, even the words that we use. When your subconscious mind always try to get back what we lose. So, never say, I want to lose 10 kilos. Always says, I want to achieve that weight.
Change.
Yeah. Because then you're focusing on the results, you're not focusing on losing, because losing means, oh,
It's a
I'm gonna,
loss.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
deprived and we
So,
go back to that
yeah.
that same cycle, right?
Exactly. So when I imagine myself, I always imagine myself that I'm looking at in my mirror, and I look at myself like that I have, maybe I'm more toned, I have better skin, more healthy, I'm full of energy in the morning. So I really have an image of myself, like I'm imagining I'm really standing in the mirror right now. So it really has
Right.
to be as real as possible.
All right. So you have to see yourself actually being in that state. Now,
Absolutely.
I often encounter people who it's really, it's heartbreaking sometimes. They would be really doing well and, they would have lost a lot of weight and they repeat it quite often. So they go in cycles of, for example, going into a really healthy lifestyle, dropping 20 kilos, 30 kilos, which is a lot. And then all of a sudden something happens and they just go back to that original state and they gain all the weight back. What do you feel is um, what happens in that process? What is that switch that makes people go off track completely?
Yeah. So actually, this happened to me. So I'm happy to share my story as well.
Okay.
So when I was 16 years old, I was a little bit chubby, and because of my family background, was all like my family is. It's not overweight, but we like food, right?
Okay, yes.
So we
I
start
can understand
habitually
and
like
relate.
exactly restaurants, and so food was a big factor. And I was a little bit overweight. So my image, the image I had of myself inside, not the image that people were seeing from the outside, that wasn't a fit person. So I tried many diets. I tried to go to gyms as well, but then every time I stopped, I was going back, because as I was saying before, if we have an image set here and we're trying to go here, it doesn't happen. We need to first change the image inside of ourselves. So believe that we can, believe that we can, that we deserve, we believe that is possible. But once you do that, then if anything you do is going to work. That's why I say most of the time, strategy is not the main factor. If strategy is very good, but it's not backed up by like a strong mindset and a different concept of ourselves, it's not going to happen.
Because in fact, we all go through those cycles of self-doubt and feeling down and maybe not managing, not believing
because
in
Antonella,
ourselves, right?
Imagine that you're doing a diet, so you're focusing on that and you're trying very hard, but subconsciously, your subconscious say, "Yeah, why are you doing that? You're never gonna be good.
There's self-sabotage involved, like in everything else, but in diet and healthy behavior, it's very, very prominent, I find. And how does this affect mental health? How does this indecision and self-sabotage, how does it affect the way our mental well-being works?
Yeah. So imagine the opposite of making a decision. If we don't make decisions, we are not moving in, we're not going anywhere. So the opposite of decision is actually confusion, procrastination, because we're not making a decision to do something. So in that moment, you're actually moving backwards. And there is a basic law of the universe that says create or disintegrate. Decision creates things, because you're making a decision, so you're going to move forward with that. If you don't make decision, you are disintegrating. And quite
And
often, this is like decision-making skills. This is beautiful subject, Antonella, actually. Thank you for bringing that out, because nobody teaches us how to make decisions. If
that's
you
true.
think
That's
we
true.
can learn anything, but who tells us how to make decisions? We
How to
don't learn that at
decide.
school.
We learn from
We
mistakes sometimes, right? Not, or
we
very
have our
often,
parents.
actually.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
I do. I do. Yes.
Oh, one.
Two. I
How
have two.
many?
Two
Okay.
kids.
How old are they?
They're 9 and 5.
Okay. So I guess that you're still making decisions for them most of the time.
Yes, yes. I try to actually, help them this, but it's difficult because sometimes
I know.
it's easy. And I see that in clients as well, to give the locus of control to someone else rather to yourself. And with children, it's kind of a given, but with adults, we do fall in that pattern, and I tell them, listen, I'm going to tell you what you need to do, but you have to do everything yourself. And that's sometimes a bit of a challenge. I'm sure that you're familiar with that situation as well, right? Where people
Absolutely.
expect you to do
Yeah.
the legwork, basically, when in reality we have to take
Yeah.
ownership. Now, maybe you can give us a few tips for when we get stuck, for example, if people are stuck and they don't know how to move forward, what can they do?
Well, they need to become aware. I use this word a lot. Awareness is really the key to change anything. Because if someone, the problem is not being stuck. I get stuck sometimes. I'm
Mhm,
still sometimes have my down times. I cry. I have my fears. Not just because I'm a coach, I've got it all. Like
mhm,
I'm still
mhm.
going through these things. But the difference is that I'm not staying in that situation. So
So we
it's
will
not a
not accept
problem.
the status quo. We want
Exactly.
to move forward.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So as soon as somebody realizes that is stuck, said, okay, hold on a moment, what am I doing? So why am I stuck? What it's been happening? So embrace that instead of rejecting and start panicking. Just say, okay, I feel stuck. Perfect. How can I move out? Start looking for answer. Ask
Mhm,
yourself good questions. What's the best solution to do this? How can
mhm.
I do that? You get these ideas because then we have the intuition. So we have some random ideas that can pop up to us and really help us
Yes,
move
and
forward.
I'm seeing the importance of having the actual time to do that, because sometimes we get so caught up in life that we don't find the time. You mentioned meditation, which is an opportunity to do these exercises, and the importance of being quiet for some time and really think, listening to our thoughts, right? How
Yeah.
important is that?
Absolutely. We really need to, because we are rushing so much in this world, and we think that pausing, taking some time for ourselves, it's not being productive
Mm-hmm,
because we are being conditioned from the society that we always have to do stuff. We always have to work. We always have to do something. So for the people that don't have much time, so what I suggest, for example, gratitude, you don't need to sit down and write them. You can be around throughout the day, and
mm-hmm.
maybe
Have
your
a
colleague
positive
is doing,
thought.
yeah,
Mm-hmm,
your colleague is doing something to you. Say, I'm so grateful I have this beautiful colleague that always helps me
mm-hmm,
out.
mm-hmm,
Or maybe
mm-hmm.
something else, like you have good food, or maybe someone just offered you lunch or dinner. Say, how grateful. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel very grateful that that happened. So having like this practice to really do it throughout the day, not
Yeah.
just in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the
So it's
day.
not actually something that you can do in a structured way, which is excellent
Yeah,
if you manage. But it's something that you can see during your day. Maybe you can give us an example, Vitan, of something that you're working on at the moment, and something that you
sure.
feel
So at the
is
moment,
useful
yeah.
for you and like to share.
So absolutely, I love to share what I do, so people can do something as well. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm working on for 2021, I'm focusing a lot about faith and belief. Faith,
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
mean religion, but it's really belief that always happens for a reason. Everything always works out for me, because what happens, and this is connecting with the first quotes that you started this interview with about the how. We don't need to
Mm-hmm.
know how to do it, but we just need to do that we can, and we will be doing that. Because what happens, we get stuck with the how. Being humans,
Mm-hmm.
we need to have control of things, but sometimes we don't know how things are going to happen. So the only things that we have to focus is really keep focusing on our goals and be open to receive and expecting things to happen, opportunities to show up to us. So having that really strong feeling of not getting too much attached of the how.
Now, maybe someone who's completely new to this concept of being mindful, of having the right mindset, where to start? What would what would you suggest that they do?
So if someone is very new and maybe is interested about personal development, definitely like YouTube offers a lot of things, and even reading books really helps at the beginning. And another thing is just really have the courage to be honest with ourselves. This is the
Mm-hmm.
hardest thing. So really stop and ask yourself in front of the mirror, say, do I really love what I'm doing? Does my future excite me? Like, am I living the life that I would love to? Am I really live fully, or am I just waking up and having another day in the office and just hoping that today is going to be better? Really become honest with yourself. This is the
Mm-hmm.
hardest. Once
Mm-hmm.
you become
Yes.
honest with yourself, you can fix anything.
And how to address the fear related to it, because obviously when we dig in, a lot of fear and anxiety comes out, and it's part of the process as well. How to deal with that, and the self-sabotage process. What would be a practical tip that you would like to share about addressing our fear?
Sure. So fear as well, fear is fake. Fear does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is a
It's an
product
interesting
of our own
concept.
imagination,
Mm-hmm.
because as I
That's
was saying
true.
before, connecting. Yeah, it's a concept because, we use the imagination. So if something comes up when we have an idea, we use imagination to build that.
Mm-hmm.
So in the moment we're stressing, but I always say that both believe in something that you cannot see. So it's really your choice whether you want to have your energy in fear or spend your energy on faith.
That's
Because also,
beautiful.
like, fear is controlling your life. Fear is controlling your life. Every time you're doing something and the answer is coming from fear, that means that you're not in control of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is controlling you. So it's really important to understand what fear is, because fear does not exist.
It's true. It's a beautiful concept to close off this very interesting interview. As a last question, Vitanna, would you like to share how you can be reached, how you can be followed, maybe even on social media, so that people can get in touch with you as well?
Yeah, it would be amazing. Thank you. So I very often on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I like being social a lot because I like
Okay.
showing anything about my life, so people get to know me even
Mm-hmm.
like on a
On a
deeper
personal
level.
level as well. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And if somebody has any questions or something, they can send me an email at support@vitannacostantino.com, which is my full name.com. And then we can just have a chat. Very simple. But even on Facebook, I'm very open and easy. I reply to people. And yeah, because that's, as I said, when somebody understands and makes the first step, they're already doing an amazing job.
Yes, the first step is always the
Exactly.
trickiest, right? Thank you very much, Vitanna. It's been a real pleasure. And I look forward to speak to you in the future as well.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thanks a lot.